What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and this one will break down what's going on with Tesla stock, what you should be watching for moving forward. I'm also going to talk about SPY, the QQQ, and just a couple of tickers out there as well. Break down what's going on with the volatility that's going to be increasing at about 9:45 a.m. Eastern time, and what's going on with another downgrade for Tesla. But before breaking things down about all of this information, let me just mention a couple of things. I'm firstly not a financial planner, so make sure you take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. The offer runs very soon, in just about 8 days, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. All right, so Tesla is down about, 1.58% in the pre-market, looking relatively low because we have some bad news that just came out, as Tesla got another downgrade from UBS. So I'm going to break that down in just a couple of minutes to talk about Tesla. Let's first talk about the data that's dropping. Just as a reminder for every stock out there, we have the PMI report coming out for the global manufacturing and the global services, which is going to be very important, coming out 15 minutes after the market opens. This is going to cause some volatility, so just be ready for this. And don't forget that we're going to see a big reaction on SPY. Nvda, the QQQ, the entire market's going to react to this. So just be ready for it, even for Tesla. This is going to give us a good gauge about how the economy is doing. We have some interesting forecasts. You can see them right over here. Then to add on to this, we have some big earnings once again dropping very, very soon. Today, it's not that crazy. We just had a couple of banks. Once again, pretty decent overall. We have Logitech coming out after the market closes. Then for Tuesday, we have Verizon, GM, Microsoft, Alphabet, Snap, and the list goes on. I'm going to be watching Microsoft in particular, not to mention Snap as well, as this tends to see high volatility. So just be ready for all of this. This is going to dictate the market, especially going into like Wednesday. This is going to be very important. Now, 5 things to know before the stock market opens for Monday. The Dow is on a tear. This thing was up about 10 days in a row. This is the longest streak since 2017. And once again, we're going to find out how the Fed ends up affecting it. This is what the article is talking about. We can also see that there's going to be a big surge in earnings, very, very soon. And we have big tech going to dominate this market very, very soon as well. So this is making the headlines too. For anyone interested in like AMC, the Barbie movie has been killer very far. This is making headlines too. Also Oppenheimer as well with Christopher Nolan. And to add on to this, Elon Musk has some announcement that came out. He basically, made all the headlines right now by getting rid of the bird for Twitter, the logo that they've been using basically, and now they're going to be using an X instead of that, which is going to help promote his AI company. It could also be a reference to X-12 or something like that. So it's very interesting. That's making some headlines too. Anyways, when it comes to Tesla stock, however, this is the very important thing I was talking about. Tesla is down more than 1% in the pre-market because UBS has downgraded Tesla to neutral, even as it raised the price target to 270 from 220. But overall, 270 is a lot lower than what a lot of people were expecting. We were looking at much higher things. And despite doing that, they're saying that they're neutral on Tesla. They used to say that they were very bullish. Now they're changing their stance. And now the thing you have to remember about this is there tends to be this domino effect by the analysts, and they could use their power, their ability to essentially manipulate the stock moving forward. So what I mean by that is, one company now is saying they're downgrading Tesla. There may be more companies coming now as they're out for blood. I know that sounds very, very suspicious and very, very cynical, but it is the truth in my opinion. It's just worth noting. So just be very careful with more analysts coming out and downgrading Tesla. This is going to be very important. Anyways, let's talk about Tesla stock now and the whole market. How is this looking? The 4-hour time frame is looking quite bearish on Tesla. We haven't really truly bounced just yet, but we are going to be watching support at the 200 EMA. On the 30 minutes time frame, Tesla is trying to like base around this level, but the problem is, once again, it still is on a downtrend making lower highs. So I'm going to be watching for a back test, this thing trying to bounce and get a back test of about 260 to 262. I'm going to be watching this, looking at the 30-minute time frame, and see how Tesla will perform by trying to get this back test. We may see a small bounce in the morning, very, very small one. Then this thing may continue to drop. And then we're going to be watching 253 if Tesla could hold that. 253.68. If Tesla fails to hold this, it's going to make a new low and come all the way down, in my opinion, close to about 250. And then if 250 fails us, once again, it's going to come down even harder. We're going to be watching the 247.5 area, 245.95, Then we have 245 flat. So the 240s, the mid 240s are going to come if we break below 250. And I think if we break 253.68, we're going to test 250 very soon on Tesla. All right, so watch those levels very carefully. I'm going to be looking for a small bounce in the morning, maybe a small bounce in the backstop of this 260 area to 262, then another drop. And I think it's going to likely make its way down to about 250 because the news coming out is very negative about Tesla being downgraded. And this is once again leading it to continue to drop. Now, looking at the trend, it's been just straight up dropping and dropping and dropping after earnings. And unfortunately, that is still affecting Tesla. We're not necessarily done as bearish momentum still perpetuates and shorts are continuing to pile in. In my video from yesterday, I mentioned that there was an increase in the short interest. So we're going to be watching these levels very carefully. All right, so 250 is going to be a very important zone for Tesla. Watch for a small bounce first and more potential downside after that. As far as SPY goes, however, this thing is trying to hold up. We're going to be watching this resistance around 453.5 around there, then 454. And this entire zone up here, we're going to be watching for a small bounce to see if this thing can try to break to the upside. I'm not expecting it to break out. I think it may just try to gap up a little bit, push up just a tiny bit, then eventually slow down because when you zoom out of this and look at the pre-market, we have this unfilled gap all the way down here, right? We have this gap all the way down to this like 452 area. I believe it's going to try to like push up for about 453.5. If that breaks, then 454 could technically come. I'm not counting on it to come like too quickly. I'm thinking it's going to pop just a little bit and come right back down and fill this gap down to 452. And I think it's going to try to bounce either off 452 or so, or like around like the very high 451s, try to hold up for the time being. But if it were to break below that, if it breaks below this low at like the 451.5 area, it's going to come all the way down to 450. I just want to warn you about that. If it does end up breaking down and failing to hold support, there's a risk of it testing it, and we will see if it ends up breaking or not, but there is some serious risk. Also, because of Apple is gapped up as well, up about 0.4% in the pre-market, but there is this unfilled gap down here on the 192 area. And plus, Apple is looking once again kind of weak compared to before. So we're going to be watching 192.5 and 192 as our supports on Apple to see if they hold for the time being, as this thing was looking kind of flimsy on Friday. So watch those levels very carefully. If you want to break out, we have to get above the high of the day around this like 193.3 area. So watch that carefully. And then finally for the triple Q, it has this unfilled gap all the way down here around this like 375 area. I'm going to be watching for this like imbalance back test very close to this like 377 area. I think it may try to push up for 377, get very, very close to it, and end up projecting. It's treating the 5 minutes 200 EMA as resistance. So if it does get a back test, watch to see if it can try to break above this or not. If it gets above this, I mean, we could see like 377.5 or so, or a little higher. But if it rejects off this, which I think it most likely will, so it's going to reject off like very close to 377, then we're going to likely be seeing some downside in a retest of 375 or so. And if it breaks below 375, we're going to be watching the gap all the way down to 373 for that to get filled. So once again, I'm thinking it's going to pop a little bit, then get a rejection, retest 375. If that breaks, watch 373 on the triple Q. Nvidia is also trying to show some strength in the pre-market, retesting the 200 EMA. I think it's going to try to make its way up very close to this 450 area, maybe a little bit higher, get very, very close and reject off that. And we do have this unfilled gap down here, a very tiny one. Also, we did gap up in the pre-market. So like I said before, I mean, we may see the whole market slow down a little bit more even for Nvidia, but I'm going to be watching to see if this thing can base between 440 and 442 temporarily. Now, as the market slows, this may affect Nvidia, but don't forget, as we approach earnings, we should see an improvement in price action. It's also going to be dictated by the big earnings coming out. So until then, I just want to let everyone know to just remain calm, cool, and collected. And just know that for the whole market in Tesla, we're going to be expecting some volatility 15 minutes after the market opens thanks to the PMI report. And after that, don't forget that Tesla is once again on a downtrend right now because of the negative news that's been coming out and also because of the momentum that is perpetuating from last week. All right. So be on the lookout for all these different levels. Just know that Tesla is still looking more bearish. And don't forget that UBS has downgraded Tesla once again. All right. So thank you for listening. That's your pre-market update. I will be back in a couple of hours for the next video. Tesla to the moon alongside the whole market as the long term is still very bright. And peace out.